Shalom. I'm Brother Yeshak of Restores the Truth Ministry, sharing with you another Scripture Nugget. Today's Scripture Nugget is HaMashiach The Written One, and it's going to be based on Breshith chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "In the beginning, Elohim created the Shamayim and the earth." Now that word beginning has a Hebrew number 7225. It is Rashith, Rashith, Rashith. It means the first. It means in place. It means in time. Now, if you look at just the wording and how the text is written, it says, "In the beginning, Elohim created" what first? He created Shamayim. So when he created Shamayim, everything is going to be listed in Shamayim. Everything is going to be recorded in Shamayim. Then everything is going to be recorded upon the earth or Eretz. Now, look at Tehillim, Psalms chapter 19. It says the heavens or Shamayim are proclaiming the esteem of Eloah or El, and the expanse is declaring the work of his hand. Now, he did not say the earth is proclaiming. He is proclaiming from Shamayim. Why Shamayim? Because that's the first creation of Yahuah. And in the creation of Yahuah is his Torah, is his covenant. So what Yahuah did, he inscribed and prescribed, and he wrote within, and he numbered within the Shamayim his covenant. And everyone has an opportunity to receive the covenant. Let's prove that. So it says in verse 2, Yom to Yom pours forth speech, and night to night reveals knowledge. Every day, every Yom, every Layla, every night, Yahuah caused the Shamayim to speak. He caused Shamayim to speak to not only his people, but to everyone that is upon the earth. Look at verse 3. There is no speech, and there are no words. Their voice is not heard. Now, to bring clarity to verse 3, you could say that there is no place upon this earth where the speech of Shamayim, where the words of Shamayim and the voice of Shamayim is not heard. Everywhere upon this earth, the voice, the words, the speech of Shamayim is being heard. It is declaring the end or the plan of Yahuah. It is declaring HaMashiach. For it is in Shamayim that you can see HaMashiach. You can see HaMashiach in the Shamayim. You can see it in the design. You can see the Messiah in the design of creation. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he set up a tent for the sun, and it is like a bridegroom coming out of his room. It rejoices like a strong man to run the path. Its rising is from one end of Shamayim. Notice, it's coming from Shamayim, not from the earth, and its circuit to the other end of Shamayim. It is speaking forth. Every time there's a new Yom, there is a speech that comes forth. Every time there's a new night, there's a speech that comes forth. Now let's look at this. In Tehillim chapter 40, speaking of HaMashiach, remember we're talking about the Shamayim was created first. And within the Shamayim, there was something that is written. So he says, see, I have come, speaking of Mashiach, in the scroll of the book. It is prescribed, a good word for prescribed is, it is written not just for me, but it is prescribed for me. It is written about me or concerning me. Look at what Yahushua says in Yochanan chapter 5, verse 39. He says, you see or you search the scriptures because you think you possess everlasting life or Hayakai in them. And these are the ones that bear witness of me. The scriptures bear witness of me. The scriptures that came down from Shamayim is a witness of HaMashiach. And these are the ones that a good word would be testify. But you can use witness because whenever you see the Torah, whenever you hear the Torah is read, it's actually as if you are reading something from Shamayim. So they witness of HaMashiach. Now let's look at Yeshayahu chapter 41. It says, be silent before me, you coastlands, and let peoples renew their power. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let us come together for right ruling. Who raised up the righteous one from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made sovereigns submit to him. He gave them as the dust to his sword, and driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them, passed over in safety, by a path that he had not gone with his feet. But I love verse 4. Who has performed and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, Yahuah, am the first, and with the last I am he. Look at what he's saying in verse 4. He calls the generations from Breshith, from the beginning. He called everything in place from the beginning. So it is from the beginning that I can understand everything else. It is from the beginning he created Shamayim. Everything is created first in Shamayim. So whenever you see the term, I am the first and I am the last and there's none beside me, I am he. Whenever you see that within the text, within the scripture, Yahuah is not only saying I am one, I am Shema, I'm more than just one, but I am the one that is declaring the covenant. And it's not a covenant that ends, but it's a covenant that continues. It's a covenant that continues. That's why Yahuah would say that he would call as a record to record against us or record against his word that Shamayim and earth as witnesses. He would call them as witnesses that his covenant is sure. His covenant that is written in Shamayim and now written upon the earth and now written within our hearts, it does not fail. It does not fail. Now let's continue. Yeshayahu chapter 44, verse 1. But now hear, O Yaakov, my servant, and Yisrael, whom I have chosen. Thus said Yahuah, who made you and formed you from the womb, who helps you. He says, do not fear, O Yaakov, my servant, and Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I pour water on the thirsty and floods on the dry ground. I pour my spirit on your seed and my barakah on your offspring, and they shall spring up among the grass like willows by streams of water. One says, I belong to Yahuah. Another calls himself by the name of Yaakov. Now these are the ones that's springing up. Those that's been touched by Yahuah, they are springing up and they are saying, I belong to Yahuah. Another one calls himself by the name of Yaakov. Another one writes or pens with his hand unto Yahuah, and then another one names himself by the name of Yisrael. Why? Because now Yahuah has been pouring out his spirit or his ruach on the seed, and now the barakah on the offspring is coming forth. Verse 6. Thus says Yahuah, sovereign of Israel and his Redeemer, Yahuah of hosts, I am the first, I am the last, besides me there is no Elohim. The reason Yahuah makes these statements is to not only declare that he alone is the Almighty, he alone is the Elohim, but what he is saying is that I am the only one that gives covenant. I am the only one that writes covenant. And in verse 7, he is asking the ones to prove it to me. Who is like me? Let him call and declare. There is none that can declare a covenant in the beginning, in the Breshith, in the Shamayim. In the Shamayim. Let's continue. Remember what Yahushua said. I love what he said in Yochanan chapter 8. Now he's dialoguing with some Pharisees, and they questioned him, and they said, are you greater than our father Abraham, who died, and the Naviim died? Whom do you make yourself? In other words, who do you think you are? Yahushua answered, if I esteem myself, my esteem is none at all. It is my Father who esteemed me, of whom you say that he is your Elohim. And you have not known him, but I know him. And if I say, the only way you can make a statement like that is if you know covenant. And that's what Yahushua is saying. So the latter part of verse 55, he says, if I say I do not know him, I shall be like you, a liar. Right there, he's telling them, you're not in covenant. You don't see the covenant that's been written in Shamayim about Mashiach. He ends up verse 55 by saying, but I do know him, and I guard his covenant. His covenant. Now, the Greek, Latin, English word is capitalized W-O-R-D word, but it confuses a lot of people, especially people who are trying to, they say they are Christian. It confuses them when they say, I guard his word. They're not saying that represents the covenant of Yahuah. That represents the Torah that was already written, the instruction that was already written in Shamayim, not only Shamayim, but is being manifested in Mashiach. He says, but I do know him, and I guard his word. Your father was glad that your father Abraham was glad that he should see my day, and he saw it and did rejoice. Now, right there, that lets us know Abraham made the connection. He made the connection of Yahuah and HaMashiach. He made the connection of Shamayim containing the scroll of Yahuah before it became the scroll of Yahuah to Moshe. Abraham saw it and did rejoice. The Yahudim therefore said to him, you are not yet 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham? Yahushua said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham came to be, now here's a powerful statement, I am. He's saying more than the fact that Yahushua, was there. He's saying Mashiach, HaMashiach, the covenant was already there. with Yahuah. In the beginning, in Breshith, Yahuah, Elohim, Eloah created the Shamayim. Then he created Eretz, or the earth, in that order. Shamayim to contain the covenant. When Yahushua said that, you see in verse 59, they picked up stones to throw at him. But Yahushua hid himself. He hid himself. He hid and went out of the set apart place, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. So what are we saying here? Whenever you see in the text of Scripture statements of being one with Yahuah, talking about his Torah, his covenant, talking about Mashiach, it shows the purpose, it shows the unity, and it will show the continual covenant that was written in the beginning. It was written in Breshith, in the beginning, where? In Shamayim. That's why when Yahushua taught his Talmudim to pray in Netanyahu chapter 6, verse 9 and verse 10, he says this. This then is the way you should pray. Our Father who is in the Shamayim, let your name be set apart. And I love verse 10. Let your reign come. Let your desire be done on earth as it is in Shamayim. In other words, it's already being done in Shamayim. But we praying that the will, or the Shamayim, the desire of Yahuah rather, be done here upon earth, because it's already being done in Shamayim. Let the covenant that is in Shamayim be displayed here on Eretz, here upon the earth. Behold, I come in the volume of the book, or the scroll of the book, not just the book, but the Shamayim book that he declares from the beginning. Yahushua HaMashiach, he is our written one. Shalom, shalom. See you next time on Scripture Nuggets.